edition of Talking Points. I'm Moriah Humison. Japan is declaring a state of emergency due to the rising COVID cases just a few months before the Olympic Games. Joining us now to discuss how this may affect the Olympics is Talking Points analyst Jacob Goldberg. So Jacob, to get started, what was the cause of this state of emergency and why have COVID-19 cases in the country risen recently?
So one of the main reasons we've seen COVID-19 cases rise in Japan is because of the UK variant. We've seen it in a lot of other countries, such as the United States, where this variant is now becoming dominant and affecting more and more people. It's a lot more contagious and spreads a lot easier. So that's one of the main reasons for the lockdown. In terms of what's going to happen in the lockdown, karaoke bars and other establishments selling alcohol will now fully have to close, and the country is relying on its citizens to do the work for them and making sure they close by themselves, not really forcing them to, but hoping they do it to stop the spread of COVID in the country.
And so with this rapid spreading and closing down of karaoke bars, like you mentioned, how is this increase going to impact the Olympics for this summer, and what can we expect in the upcoming months?
So one thing that you always see before the Olympics is the Olympic torch relay, and that's already being affected by this COVID outbreak. They've had to move the Olympic relay to roads outside of major cities such as Osaka to make sure that it doesn't go through big population centers. Another thing that's been delayed is the mascot unveiling. They've delayed it to until the COVID situation kind of settles in the country. They're going to wait to unveil the mascots. So just a few things that have been affected in terms of the Olympic Games already by this COVID outbreak in Japan.
And so is there anything that Japan can do to get back on track with this COVID outbreak before the Olympics?
So one of the main things when you look at Japan in terms of their COVID outbreak is their vaccine numbers. Fewer than 850,000 people in the country have been fully vaccinated, and that's much lower than a lot of other Western and developed countries. And one of the main reasons for this is that Japan has only approved the Pfizer vaccine for use, as opposed to the United States where there's 3 vaccines on the market, only 1 in Japan. And so one of the things that they can do to get these COVID vaccine numbers is either get more of the Pfizer vaccine or maybe approve the other vaccines such as the Johnson & Johnson or the AstraZeneca or the Moderna to try and make sure that as many people in the country can get vaccinated as quickly as possible.
And Jacob, here in the U.S., we've seen major sports such as the NBA and Major League Soccer have a bubble for their athletes, like in Orlando. Is there any talk about Japan doing something similar for the Tokyo Olympics this summer?
So far, I have not seen any talks about that, but it would be an interesting thing to see. We've seen that, for example, for the NBA playoffs last year, it worked very well. There was no COVID cases inside of the NBA bubble. That could be a very effective method for Japan if they're trying to get it under control and make sure that for the second time they don't have to cancel these Olympic Games, which are very expensive to host.
All right, and Jacob, we'll have to see before the summer happens what Japan will be doing for the Tokyo Olympics. Thank you so much. That's all the time we have today on this webisode edition of Talking Points. Be sure to like and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at CitrusTV News. I'm Moriah Humison. Have a great night, Syracuse.